You're after something. Is it revenge? Money? Or is it something else?
What's up, everyone? Welcome to Cinemaholic Productions. My name is Spencer Henderson, and I am a Cinemaholic. And what are we here for today, guys? We're here for Star Wars. To be exact and precise, Solo, a Star Wars story. Which, of course, is the new Han Solo origin film, I guess we could call it. Kind of an origin story about Han Solo. Because everybody just was wondering, where did this guy come from? The mystery isn't what makes him cool. We want it all explained to us. And apparently what Star Wars is going to do now is they're just going to explain every damn character that they have to us instead of introducing new fun characters like The Last Jedi did. Yeah, I said it. I brought up The Last Jedi in the first minute of this review, but it sounds like I'm being harsh on this movie, but let me get a little bit more into it. So we start off with Han Solo, who is a young kind of like small-time thief slash smuggler who is kind of in trouble with some gangs around a town. He's in love with Emilia Clarke, who plays Kira, I think her name was. And we have Alden Ehrenreich as young Han Solo. And from the opening scene of this movie, I was a little bit kind of like, is he going to pull it off? And there was a point in the movie, very early on, where all of a sudden, just clicked. I was like, this guy is great as Han Solo. And I thought that throughout the remainder of the movie. As far as performances go, I think this is pretty great as far as all the characters. Woody Harrelson's really good in it. Emilia Clarke is pretty good in it. Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian is like casting genius, and he is just fantastic in this film. Overall, a lot of fun there. No complaints with the casting or with any sort of performances. And the first third of this movie, I was having a total blast, and I'll even say the first 2/3 of this movie was having a great time. There are some very funny sequences in this movie, particularly between Han and Chewie. I think those two played off of each other very well, and all those interactions are really fun. I don't think it's much of a spoiler to say we see Han and Chewie meet in this movie, and that scene was really, really good. This is kind of a minor spoiler, but there's this really hilarious sequence where Han and Chewie are in like this bar looking place. They're told not to talk to anybody, and Chewie says he's gonna go get a drink, and Han Solo of course starts talking to somebody, and we see Chewbacca holding 2 drinks, like he grabbed one for Han Solo and for him, and he's kind of looking at Han Solo all like pitifully, and it's this great little moment. And there's a couple moments like that where I'm just like, damn it, Solo, you're winning me over. Donald Glover brings a lot of fun to the movie. He has a droid named L337, I believe, played by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who is unlike any other droid we've ever seen in a Star Wars movie. Some of her jokes I don't think worked as well as others, but overall I actually really liked her as a droid, and I think we could have used a little bit more of her and Lando, both. Maybe this should have even been a Lando movie with Han as a side character, but like I said, Alden Ehrenreich to me stole the movie. He was probably my favorite part of this. So there's lots to like here. There's a great train sequence. It's kind of like a heist sequence in it that is a lot of fun. And the middle part, the whole like Kessel heist, I guess we could call it, was really fun as well. That brings me to the third act, which is where a lot of my complaints come from. So how am I going to say this without spoilers? I guess there is a whole entire Dryden Voss, who is played by Paul Bettany, who is pretty good in the movie. He's not great, but he's pretty good, is kind of like our main bad guy. And we figure out he answers to a crime syndicate who is headed by somebody named Crimson Dawn. And as soon as we are revealed who Crimson Dawn is, without spoiling anything, like I said, the movie really lost me, if we're being totally honest. I think one of my biggest complaints about these new Star Wars movies, and I think this is one of the reasons why Rogue One works so well and why I like The Last Jedi so much, is both those movies felt like they expanded the universe. When Star Wars, these new ones, are operating well, is I think when they're introducing new things to this universe. That's why I've heard lots of people complain about Rose, and say what you will about Rose, but at least she's a new character. Somebody who we haven't seen before, somebody who we have no relation to, and we get more character development through her because of that, and it doesn't feel like they're over-explaining like they are with like a Han Solo backstory. Lando would have been a great opportunity for an origin story because we know very little about that character. Like, we know enough about him for the original movies to work really well and for us to be intrigued with his character. However, I feel like we don't know enough about him to the point where if a origin movie came out, it might feel a little bit redundant. And that brings me to this Crimson Dawn character. I love Han Solo, and I loved watching Alden Ehrenreich's interpretation of Han Solo in this film. However, when we introduce characters who we already know and set up new movies with these characters we already know, this huge, vast universe of Star Wars feels immensely smaller. It feels like only these people are the ones that matter. And that's why I liked Rogue One, is it felt like we were dealing with outsiders in this story, and it felt like we were seeing more corners of this galaxy that we hadn't seen before. And same with Last Jedi. We have, Admiral Holdo and Rose and them, and it made it feel new. It made it feel fresh. That's one of the reasons why The Force Awakens, it's a great nostalgia machine, and I really enjoyed The Force Awakens, but it doesn't really work as well because we're still caught up in this past with Star Wars. I personally don't want these movies to be the same thing over and over again. Apparently some people do, and apparently some people like their fan fiction bullshit theories, like with Last Jedi, like, oh, Rey should have been Obi-Wan's daughter, and they have like all these fanfic theories. And if that's you might really like Solo. Like, you might say this is a movie that it almost feels like fan fiction in a lot of ways, and that might really work for you. But for me, somebody who likes to see things that are different, see new faces, see this get more expanded and go in different directions, I think that's how Star Wars is going to survive and how it's going to endure being movies that we get every single year. I want to see different genres. I want to see different looking characters, different people in this world. So that's the discouraging part about this movie, is I feel like the third act got a little bit too involved in what we know in the Star Wars universe. And when we started off, it started off this really fun, just adventure movie that felt split off from stuff such as the Rebellion or other characters. And it was just a little bit disappointing to me, I suppose. But overall, I think it's a fun movie. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. And it's something I think is totally worth watching if you are a Star Wars fan especially. And honestly, if you're somebody who hated The Last Jedi, like I said, you'll probably like it because it's basically fan fiction. And it seemed to me that that's what a lot of the complaints were, was that Last Jedi's plot points didn't coincide with people's fan fiction-like theories. So, not to be condescending on fan fiction or anything, just it seems to me that that was the big complaint. So overall, it works. It's fun. There are some fun character moments. But I would say it is the weakest of the new Star Wars films, probably. And I honestly think there are some things that are a little bit over-explained. But yeah, that's about all I got to say about it, guys. I mean, I'm not going to get into spoilers, like I said, so I'll just go ahead and rate this. I think I would give Solo: A Star Wars Story 6.5 raccoons out of 10. It's fun. I will probably watch it again, but not as memorable as like The Last Jedi was. Like, even if you didn't like The Last Jedi as much as I did, what I can say that I can't say the same about this is that The Last Jedi took risks and swung for the fences, and I did not feel that way about this particular Star Wars movie. So there we go. Solo: A Star Wars Story is in theaters now. Go watch it. Just go watch it. It's a fun time at the movies. It'll be a fun blockbuster, if a little bit forgettable. Thank you all very much for watching. I appreciate the support. Apologies that we haven't been doing too much. Me and Ryan have been kind of taking a break from this. And I hope to be back for lots of these bigger tentpole movies. So stay tuned, everybody. Thank you all very much for watching. And until next time, see you later.